how did you come to the United States? And how old were you? And
Well, you see, that was another part of the story, which is in my second book. When I met my husband in Persia, he was with the American Army, and I worked for him as a waitress. I did some funny things. But it's all in the book, and we got married in Tehran, in Persia. And he came to States first, and then I followed him. And I'm working on a third book now. Hello, America, I'm coming to America. It will be the tears of laughter of these things that I did when I came here. But it was a long life, and I enjoyed, even though it was sometimes very horrid. You were living, you were experimenting, and even through your ordeals, those put your spine straight, strong. And the women were especially those that suffered and worked. And I think there was some extra strength that you discover. You don't know that you have one until it comes. And when it comes, it helps you. Even people that don't experiment things what I did in their own life, when something horrible comes, you feel the strength coming, and that strength carries you through. So you don't always have to labor in Soviet Russia. But it did, it happened, and people survived.
Alicia, some of your pictures that you have are from this time frame that you have around. This
is grandmother's. They had to dig the young boys and women to bury her because it was frozen and steepies had a hard clay. But she's resting in peace. This is Mater Dolorosa, I call it, War Madonna. It was, in many of the pictures just come through your own feelings. This is our sailing to freedom. That's in my second book. We're on the boat, celebrating. This is, if you've seen people with malaria, was this young boy laying, shivering with malaria gives you the shivers. And at the time we were given all the good food, chocolates and fruits. It was all in silver cans. And there they're laying, he cannot eat. You waited for it, but you prayed that you were over it and could eat it.
Oh dear.
This is what I seen through the window when we were arrested. The bayonets, and especially the faces that we never seen.
And what about your brother?
My brother lives in Milwaukee. He came through. He was in England for a long time. He was in a Polish cadets army, and then he went to England with my father. And we brought them, my husband and I brought them here to States. He was chemistry, he was working in Chicago. He still is now in Milwaukee. and he wouldn't talk. And after I wrote the book, he started to talk. It was a reprieve. It was, for him, it was also a relief. And now he can talk freely, and we discovered different stories that he went through as a boy, and I did. And I said, well, you write the book. He said,
How much younger is he than you?
but he's an artist also.
Oh,
That's amazing. And she plays the piano, and she has her little antique store up in town, and
Oh yes, I was a concert pianist, yes.
this is when she was,
Yes.
oh, I didn't hold this one up.
This is when they closed our church, and they put boards across the door, and people,
Did you paint as a child, or is this something you discovered later on in your
Pardon?
life? Did you paint as a child, or draw? These,
When did you start
when-
painting?
Thank you very much.
I
When did you
was
start
5 years old.
painting? Okay.
Yeah, that was my first pictures that I started to draw, portraits. And of course, my parents were amazed. But we were in Poland. It was a point of education. It was whatever you can get from the knowledge. We even had a tutor coming to teach us English. Through school, we went through French, Latin, Ukrainian languages. But it wasn't enough. My father had to say, you got to have English. So we learned English. In the summer, the tutor would come when we had vacation. I used to climb in the tree. They had to shake the tree, come on down. The maid used to come with the broom, come on.
Come down to the lesson.
But then it was so wonderful when we came to Persia, and you could communicate with people in French, English. The languages were very helpful. Life was good, and I was always very curious. When we landed in Persia, it was our first thing to go and see the old ruins, the museums. You read about them in your geography, and then here you were walking the land of their finger rights and heaven right. Oh my Kayam. Excuse me. I'm going to be 90. I'm slightly forgetting stuff.
You don't need to apologize.
The current events in Ukraine must be very disturbing to you now then.
You see, I see it from my point, because they cut. You don't have Poland there, do you?
Right.
The part of Poland where I lived, it was cut off and given to Russia. It was during, in fact, when we were in Tehran, there was the meeting of three, Roosevelt, Churchill, and Stalin. When we were still,
There it is.
that's it. Let me see if I can. Okay, this part was cut off. I lived right around here, straight. This is where I went to high school. Lvov, where I had my piano exams and radio. This all went to Russia. It was given, this part was given during the First World War and established the Kursan line. It was independent Poland given to us through the peace treaty in 1918. And yet, at Tehran, all three decided It was going to Russia because Stalin wanted it. How do I feel about it? What right do they have to give the country away? That was attacked by Germany and was egged, go fight, we will be with you. France, the rest of them, where were they? Politics? If you ask me about today, I don't feel sorry for neither of them. Russia is not going to declare a war on anybody. They are in no position with economy and with the army. Russia is like giant with the clay feet. They'll rattle their sabers. They do a lot of talking, muscle. They are in no position.
Alicia,
Yes.
did you seek out other survivors when you came to the U.S. to stay in contact with?
I've seen, and towards when I started to write the book, I got acquainted with the computer. Holy moly. But I slowly got one thing after another, and I joined the group called Cressa Siberia. A group was moderated by a gentleman from Sydney, Australia. And he was forming the group helping people find families, find each other. And I've been with them for all this time. In fact, I found my next door neighbor in Poland, in Argentina. So I salute computers.
And Melinda comes every week and helps her work things out,
This
right?
is my soul, my heart. if without her, she taught me so many things. I can take the picture and put it in the computer.
She has a Facebook account.
And she posts her own pictures to it. So.
Now, you
Yes.
might have noticed that Melinda was filming, and so
Yes.
I mentioned at a meeting that this would be posted on this site, this Crisis Siberia site. And
Yes, I gave, Melinda did all the video, excuse me, and I gave the testimony to Cressa Siberia, to the history channel. And in fact, they have all my paintings there, and whatever I was,
I don't know if your video's actually up yet, but it's there.
it's there.
I haven't seen it, but I haven't looked in the last week or two. So
I just finished reading your second book,
You did.
and I was surprised to learn so much about the refugees, how far flung you became as exiles, that some went to Iran, some went to Africa.
Oh, yes.
I was surprised to learn that because that was never part of my education regarding, World War II. They didn't teach us very much in America about what happened to the Poles.
Right.
Especially for the non-Jewish Poles. We didn't learn very much, and so I'm glad to know that you're now telling your story so that we can learn more.
Our journalist had to take lessons from P.E.O, who's dead.
Yes. But your friends ended up all over the place, all over the world, really.
Yes, the groups went through Karachi, India. I had visas all over. I never went there. with the 5 fingers. That's my passport. But until 1955, U.S. decided to take the refugees. There were some ships off the California coast with orphans, and people from California wanted to adopt them. The government said no. They went to Mexico.
How many were in the camp? How many were in your labor camp?
Actually, it wasn't camp. We were thrown all over. You're talking about Russia. They just dumped us in the villages. Work
Okay.
for so many grams of bread. No, there was no doctor.
What kind of work did you do?
We worked on fields. We worked on, one time, we were scrubbing the dung from sheep.
No.
And their word was always privatnish, which means you get used to it. Well, we did when we worked, but we told them something else. No, not nice. You learn to swear. You learn to... You're free. No, sometimes it's very hard. In fact, I didn't put in my first book at the time when I wrote, my husband was very ill. I was sitting in a hospital and writing. And it was just painful from both sides, watching him and writing about Russia. And some of the things, if I wrote again, I would put it in. It still hurts, but the truth should be told. But it's still very emotional. I don't know, when I came here, I said, no, I'm not going to do it. And look, I do it.
Well, we really appreciate you coming and sharing your story, and
I,
you're a beautiful
I
person.
enjoy it, thank you. I've done in Canada a couple of times, in the book club, in schools, and for young children. In Eureka, I was so surprised when I talked to, middle school. And you think children, well, twiddle their thumbs, okay, you're talking. No, after I came home in a week, I had 35 letters.
Wow.
It was, I keep them, because they're so different way expressing their thank you. So we're not lost yet. We've got good chance to survive. All of us.
Yes.
Yeah, we just need sometimes to wake up from snoozing. But it would help in school if they talk to young children about what's happening to the world, truly, and learn the history, geography. Thank you.